Good evening, everyone. Our case was about information technology and innovation at Shinsei Bank. And our group is me, Andres, Sergejs, Elena, Dax, and Christianis. Brief history. In 1952, bank named LTCB was established by Japanese government to provide long-term funding to rebuild Japan's basic industries after World War II. Bank strategy proved successful until the 1980s, when financial deregulation diminished the demand for loans by traditional borrowers, and LTCB aggressively expanded in the real estate and construction markets. After bubble burst in real estate sector, LTCB collapsed with nearly $40 billion of non-performing loans. And finally, on 1st March, LTCB became the first Japanese bank with foreign ownership. It was acquired by US private equity fund named Ripplewood Holdings and was renamed to Shinsei Bank. And there is this joke about nowadays situation which tells I sneezed in a bank today. It was the most attention I have received from the staff in the last 10 years.
Proceeding with the case. So what were the legacy systems that was left for Shinsei from LCTB? We divided them into two parts, hardware and software. Hardware. Shinsei inherited an existing mainframe system from LCTB. Mainframe could be described somewhere in the middle between supercomputers and servers. They have a lot of computing power and are suitable for processing large amount of data. For example, processing large amount of bank card transactions. LCTB had 24 branches, but mainly they used other bank branches to conduct transactions with their clients. All of daily transactions were processed on a mainframe during the night when the bank was closed. The existing mainframe systems were overloaded with no spare capacity, and the maintenance costs were extremely high due to locked-in contracts. This is the overall status about the hardware from LCTB. Software. Although there were no specific information on existing software from LCTB, mainframe systems run on their own specific operating systems. Depending on the year when the mainframes were acquired, the software integrations with other systems may be harder to implement. Some of the old operating systems use specific programming languages, and there are fewer and fewer specialists that could do that kind of job, not even speaking about the functions that could be executed on these mainframes. Another LCTV solution was to use disparate network that was tied to the old bank's business model. Now my colleague Andres will tell you more about new approach for IT in Shinsei Bank.
Okay, let's move to the next question. And the next, actually, two questions are what is the new approach for IT at Shinsei Bank and what factors are being considered when going for new projects? So, firstly, choosing one set of standards, which is operating system, network protocols, hardware platforms. Secondly, modularize the system. Thirdly, running existing and new infrastructure in parallel. Next one is using standard and reusable components. And lastly, there are five main criteria before going for new projects, which are defined by CEO, and they are speed, cost, capability, flexibility, and safety.
The third question is, do you agree with Shinsei outsourcing concept? To respond on this question, we wanted to review overall outsourcing concept and we found out that first of all, in the task planning, they wanted to avoid bottleneck and therefore removed interdependencies. Then we went to outsource different parts of project in multiple Indian companies, and it was the first and the only one company in Japan at the beginning of 2000s. They have outsourced only parts where internal skills were lacking and where IT skills were not really suitable for the bank IT employees. They employed translators to make the work more efficient and comfortable. And with each company they were cooperating, they wanted to have a partnership and avoid the bureaucracy in documentation. They have also paid by time and material cost model. And there were advantages and disadvantages of the selected strategy. Good things are that price model is beneficial for the client. They can have people with high skills that are not really limited by one specific city. And the main advantage of this model is a risk minimization by outsourcing parts of the project to different partners. This approach is beneficial as later Shinsei Bank can compare partner performance and expenses and select the best one. Last advantage is not really related to the case, but it is a good plus for this model. And it is related to deadlines. Client can ask for faster deadlines than he would ask from the in-house employees. And the main disadvantage is the choice of partners in one country. In case of force majeure, for example, such as flood in the country, bank would not be able to rely on their partners. Additionally, there are security reasons in information sharing for the third parties and employee attitude to the received information. And the last one is related to the time zone differences that could make difficulties for management in monitoring the project. So to wrap it up, Shinsei IT project was completed in 1 year rather than 3 years that were originally estimated and saved 90% of the costs. And to answer the question, it works good when your partners are reliable, and we agree that we went you made a good choice.
The next question is, do you agree with Shinsei implementation concept? Shinsei implementation concept was designed in a way to be accessible, easy and convenient, responsive, delivering value on all levels of business organization from development and employees to customers and final products. Moreover, its specificity and definite approach, in our point of view, ensured proactive error management and cost-effective solution for future maintenance and upgrades. Their approach to make the system modular and highly flexible was a winning point as all the components could be tested, implemented and reused if they fulfilled their objectives, or they could be promptly discarded if they did not work. Shinsei started the implementation from centralizing the decentralized processes with the following principles. Parity. We will not change, but we will change the technology. In our opinion, it's a crucial point, as every change for an employee creates a sort of discontent. For having done implementation seamlessly, they made employees feel comfortable and minimized the disruption. Implementation steps. The work was done on multiple parallel paths. Development occurred in rapid, short cycles with progressive delivery of requirements. They kept the system accessible, as changes could be made on almost continuous basis. This ensured flexibility and adjustability on all levels. Inclusiveness. The technology and operations are not just support functions, but they also offer capabilities that can open up new strategic opportunities and businesses. Herewith, we fully agree with the concept that business strategy must always drive infrastructure change, and the ones who drive this business must be highly involved in the technology transformation. In other words, win-win situation. Transparency. Seamless and independent system changes for the customer ensures uninterrupted and highly reliable services, thus increasing reputation of the bank services. Paperless. Shinsei made a revolutionary step in digitalization of their paperwork, thus improving the environmental factor and setting up high standards for others. Summarizing all mentioned above, it was a great idea to make the old and new system to coexist in parallel with their modularization as it ensured the coherent implementation, consistent service, and proper functioning of the new system with a comfortable feeling. They managed to create flexible and proactive reallocation, creating optimal use of group management resources based upon business environment changes and planned progression.
The next question is, what would you answer on behalf of Vivedi regards the new CRM project approach? CRM is a long-term business strategy which requires user adaptation and shifting the mindset to be successful. All information about customer will be kept in one centralized database, which in fact goes against bank's decentralized approach. However, CRM is only good as data put in it, and successful only if the people use the system. The employees and the entire management of the bank must be on board with such a decision, because certain CRM strategy must be taken in place, redefining work processes, setting clear business goals and ways to measure them, and how CRM will complement business development. In our opinion, the business unit should be allowed to implement a new CRM with few prerequisites and rules. The new CRM can be implemented following the Vivedi's 5 criteria guidelines. The reasons for this is because all the other IT system implementations in Shinsei Bank went through this process, and there is no need to abandon it because it works for them very well. The new CRM system should be implemented under Vivedi's team supervision. They are responsible for all of the IT systems in the bank, and there should not be any gray areas they are not aware of that can create chaos by letting business teams implement new things on their own. Compatibility and compliance with existing infrastructure. This should be carefully evaluated before any further implementation steps to avoid additional changes in systems, avoid any drawbacks and bottlenecks that can be caused by the new CRM system. When the prerequisites are checked, the following steps should be to evaluate the costs and return of investment. The team previously went with the approach to look for existing solutions of the market, and in cases when no existing off-the-shelf solutions are available, develop their own. Previous success shows that this is very cost-saving approach, and evaluation of expenses for developing their own CRM for identified needs should be considered. When that is completed, then they can start implementing the new system using Vivedi's implementation principles: parity, incremental steps, inclusiveness, transparency, and paperless.
And we also wanted to tell more about the future of Shinsei. After this case implementation, Bill Gates mentioned this bank in his speeches several times as a good example. And the project implementation was so successful that the bank continued to involve Indian partners in Mumbai and to cooperate with them. In the 2007, revenues fell so dramatically that the Financial Services Agency issued an improvement order to the bank. In 2009, bank planned to merge with another bank, but canceled this deal. And in 2010, they have even sold their building to avoid the falling below the target. Information that we have found about the software in internet is that they have switched to FlexCube that was developed by Oracle, and now this bank is operating, and their current revenue for the last year was 210 billions.